Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the What Topic podcast with your host, Josh Deakin, at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
And today we are joined by our very special guest and one of our very good friends, Lydia. Hello.
Hello, guys.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
I'm all right.
Surviving.
Taking every day as it comes. That's the favourite thing to say. It's glamorous to say that you take every day as it comes like a platter.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
So, Lydia, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, like what you do?
Yes.
Like, obviously, you're on Instagram, of course.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at litsu, lit.su, basically. But yeah, so I'm a part-time model and a pharmacist, and I'm just working in London right now. I moved to London not long ago, around August time, because I graduated, finished my training. I thought if I moved to London, I'll be able to, do part-time pharmacy and also get more time to do modeling, which is something I'm passionate about. Unfortunately, with COVID happened, so there aren't that many castings, and most casting are done at home with like self-tape. So that's kind of different. I had to try to adapt to like the new way of casting, but yeah, everything's going well so far, and hopefully after lockdown lifted and after New Year, we'll get more castings and more like photograph events. Like, I really like those socials that we do with Instagram.
Of course, yes.
Communities and stuff. So yeah, I can't wait to get back to that, really.
Oh, definitely. So what we normally do at the top of the episode normally is we will jump into some brief topics that are going on in the world at the minute. So normally we only spend about 10-15 minutes on that at most, but then obviously we'll start to obviously put the light on a bit more about you, like obviously where you got started with modeling, maybe talking about like how we got to meet you, and of course things in your life that you think it would be quite interesting to talk about. I mean, obviously modeling is obviously one thing, maybe like your career path at the minute, and I guess how the two, modeling and your medical side, have kind of interlinked and crossed over times. So that'd be probably quite interesting for any other model out there who's juggling modeling and also their day life as well as like two different things.
Yeah, I think
obviously,
it's pretty common for models to like have two different jobs, because you're obviously not going to be modeling all the time, so you need sort of like a constant income, and then do modeling on the side, which is balanced out pretty well, to be honest.
You could kind of say, I guess, obviously, without going into too much detail at this moment, obviously later on in the podcast, but one of the things that I can say I quite relate as being a photographer is that photographers and models and any creative, obviously it's quite a big thing to try and get into and to earn decent money from. So most of the time you are psychicking the two jobs back to back, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be quite interesting to dive into a little bit later on. But of course, first we're gonna jump into some current news. I wanted to very, very quickly, briefly jump on it. Obviously, we didn't record last episode. Last week. We were kind of a bit of radio silence last week, Mino, and we had quite a busy week, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It was sort of like time just flew by really quickly, and before we knew it, like, oh shit, it's Friday. So we and to be fair, like, because we're in a second lockdown here in the UK, it's quite difficult to look up like what is going on. I mean, obviously you still got the whole thing that's going on in America, that Trump is not conceding and still saying that the election is rigged and all that bullshit that orangutan wants to talk about. So
nice development though recently, that obviously he has now technically in a way conceded, but he's done it in such a way where he doesn't he's lost.
He's still saying like he once by January he will leave, but he's still saying we're still
so he's
we're still investigating happen. We're still investigating about that, even though there's been no claims whatsoever. And
then we've had that really beautiful moment with Giuliani having the hair makeup go running down the
oh
side
my
of his
god,
face, and his eyes popping out like unbelievably weird, like a cartoon character.
he always does. Like it's like that's like he always like and and his teeth was always a thing. And and obviously it's now becoming the new thing. Obviously beforehand we had the famous incident that happened in the Borat sequel where where he was, according to him, quote unquote, was fixing his mic that was down in his pants. Yeah, right.
It's
Okay.
such a convenient place to go looking for your microphone.
Especially and it also required to lie on the bed. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, about that, innit? Oh, definitely.
Anyway,
I mean,
yeah. So, anyways, it's to be honest, like we all know that Joe Biden has won the election, so we're just all waiting for Trump to just get kicked out of the White House, and then we don't have to ever hear them again.
Clubs and get out.
Yeah,
it
and
surprised me. It surprised me how long it take for him to admit that he actually lost the election.
We hasn't really, like I said, like Josh said earlier, like he's kind of, he has said that he will leave once the results has come in, but he still hasn't officially conceded. No, he's still in denial.
Oh my god.
So
the thing is, in a way, it's really funny because like there was a on the news a few days, I think it was today or yesterday, he was playing golf I think at one of his resorts, and he literally goes, fucking hole, or something like that, doesn't it?
I think I heard. There's been so many recordings of him, like even when I think he was either in the White House or somewhere official, and he went, fuck, like something like that. Yeah.
He's not very good at blaspheming, is he?
Excuse me.
His French is very, very naughty. So
yeah. Well, what do you expect from him? So anyway,
no, definitely. I couldn't expect anything worse than him, but yeah. So obviously, all in the last week, in the last 2 weeks, you could say we've had that happen. We've had, obviously all the saga with Biden, like finally trying to get his security stuff together. He's now finally
doing. Yeah.
And
finally,
the Americans have just literally just had Thanksgiving yesterday. So
yes, they did. Yeah. Also, the meantime, yesterday we found out the tier system that the amazing Conservatives, the Tories, have laid out for us all.
The amazing.
So
it's gonna be really confusing, no?
It's
London's gonna be tier 2.
Well, we're down in Portsmouth is tier 2, except for our White, which is tier 1, which is a bit annoying. But then the thing is, like, it's really odd because I live in an area where not much happens, and so I just think that in our little area, we're considered. I think to my mind, we're just considered as tier 1. But then again, I don't know. I could be wrong. Like there could be like cases that have gone up since then. But again, I don't know.
Wasn't the Isle of Wight one of the testing places for the very first COVID app that they was creating?
I have no idea.
I'm sure it was the Isle of Wight or the Isle of Man.
Probably, but
yeah.
But funny enough to say that I did actually have for the first time had to do a COVID test, but just after lockdown happened.
How come?
For your new role, right?
No, actually, no. I will have to do that for my upcoming role that I'll be playing. But I had to take a COVID test because just before lockdown, I was at my friend's house, and my friend's mum was tested positive for coronavirus, and then I had to tell my family, we need to get tested. Yeah. So we found a testing site, just a mile and a half away. So we drove there one evening. We walked over there.
Private one.
You make it sound like a small affair. Oh, we just took a leisurely drive.
We just took a low family trip.
Yeah, sure. We haven't got something that might kill us.
To be fair,
how did you feel when you found out the news? Like that,
it was just a bit. It was a bit like, oh shit, but then
damn it.
But then it was a bit annoying. But then I was like, the thing that really got me was that I was more concerned on telling the news to my family.
Yeah.
Because imagine like they've got work to go to, or they got plans they made. So I was like, shit. But they all realize that it's not my fault. It's just one of those.
Help it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like I never asked like, oh hey guys, here's some coronavirus or whatever.
Is it a private test?
Yeah, so we had to book on the website an actual test, because we tried to do a drive-in test, which was in Whiteley, which is just about half an hour away.
Yeah.
But they had one about at between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and by the time we looked at it, it was about 2:20. So there's no way we could have got there in time. Yeah. So we had to look in so we had to go in the walk-in site, and there was plenty of appointment times for that. So we had to do it in the evening because my brother was sleeping, and we had to tell him like, by the way, you're not going to work. We're going to get tested. So he was. I mean, he was just like, he wasn't really annoyed. It was just the fact that you have to call work. Like he works at a supermarket at Tesco, and they can be quite unforgiving. Like they said to him like, doesn't matter. I don't give a shit if your manager wants you to come in. Like, you're not coming in. And he went like, oh no, don't worry, I'm not coming in. And he'll explain that, dude, like if you are forcing me to come in, like don't point fingers at me if any one of you gets COVID and I get tested positive or whatever. So we drove over, and then we went in, and then there was barely anyone there, like except for the people working there. And the most horrible thing was like having so they give you like all the test kits and everything, and you got like a little booth that you sit in. You got the instructions in front of you.
What type of test? Is it a swab test?
It's a swab test, yeah. Okay. So you got all the vials.
So did you have the one in the mouth only, or did you have to have it up your nose as well?
So no, it was both in the mouth and the nose.
No. So shove it right down the back of your nose.
It's horrible. Well, so I think the worst thing actually was swabbing my tonsils. So you have to do it for 10 seconds. That makes you literally like nearly god, it makes me gag. So I was doing 5 seconds each tonsil, and by the end of the 5th second, I'll be like like that. So then the next bit will be like, they say to you like, push the swab up your nostril until it, you got better pressure, like stops it. So you keep like pushing, and they're like, how far is it going? And then it stops, and I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the thing that really confuses me, is because like, as far as I'm aware, like when you obviously we've all done this, we've all put our fingers up our nose, but like you just think, how do you get like you put your finger up to the top, and you're like, well, where's the gap that goes up to anywhere else? Like the connection between your nose and your mouth, that kind of thing. It's like, where is that point? Because like, is it so small that you can't even that point?
Yeah, it's really weird, but yeah, that wasn't too bad. I mean, obviously, that's another thing. Before you start the test, you have to blow your nose to get rid of the mucus and all that.
No,
because they give you tissue. No, I don't. Yeah, especially. I mean, it was weird because they got some tissues. I'm like, what's the tissues for? And then I looked at the instructions. And went, right, okay, gotcha. So
blow your nose.
Sanitize your nose.
I don't know, but yeah. So, I've heard people where they did the opposite, where they did the nose first and then the mouth. I'm like, no. So I was like, really? Like, come on.
The thing that's weird is like, when I first heard that you had to have it up your nose, I don't know whoever else probably did this. Like, so I apologise if it's crude and weird, but like obviously it's going to involve this one crude and weird piece. So anyway, stay with me on this. So when people were doing stupid things online, like with like condom putting them up the nose. It made me think. It makes you think about like how far they put it up their nose, and it literally makes them gag like fucking mad, and they can like go the other end down into their mouth. It's like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, it's weird. It's really gross. Like when I saw that challenge, like the condom challenge or whatever it was.
Why did people do this to themselves?
Oh no, it's like the same
when in their nose and they pull it out their mouth. Yeah,
and they pull it out their mouth. It's like that, and that's it.
This is funny because Lizzie has probably, as Lizzie says to us before we started. She said, "Oh, I've had a very long day." Okay, so now you got to the point where you've heard about condoms going from noses to mouths.
I think
this is the top of the day.
Grand finale.
Welcome to what topic? Well, we talk about condoms going up our noses.
The name of the podcast is, of course, What Topic, so it could be about anything.
Oh,
So
I know, right?
Talk about sex.
Why not?
What's
So
that?
yeah, like
we
the
can't do that right now.
Oh god. Anyways,
Yes, let's get back on track.
the COVID test was like, I mean, with all things considering, it was all right. And then obviously there was the waiting game, and you're like, oh, for God, please, don't get test positive. And luckily we all.
Sorry, I lost you for a second there. I don't know what happened.
Oh right.
We'll keep
Okay.
it as part of the recording. Don't worry, we're still here, guys. We're still here. Oh
Yeah.
Okay. It stopped recording, I think.
Was that?
Stop recording?
what?
Oh no,
It
still here.
is.
We're still here. We're
It's
still
there.
We're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here, guys. Woo!
Stop scaring us,
Anyway,
Josh.
As you were saying, Owen, before I was rudely interrupted by the internet.
Man, like, come on.
Come on,
Like,
continue your story. It's been dragging
Anyway.
on for like the whole podcast.
anyways, yeah, I mean, considering with the COVID test and everything, like, it was fine. I mean, besides, putting a swab down your tonsils and your nose and everything. So
They don't
Yeah,
use the
yeah.
same
Totally not
swab, do
pleasing.
they?
what's that? Sorry.
I hope
They
they
use the
don't.
same like a cotton swab for
They
both.
use
yeah,
two
it's
ends,
like-
don't they?
No.
Yeah, it's just like it's only like a cotton swab. It's not like two ends. Like, you have to use the one end, and then you put it in the vinyl with a bit of liquid, and then they ziplock it in a Ziploc bag, and then you just give it in, and then that's it. And you get a barcode, and then they
So
scan the
you use the
barcode.
same swab for the nose and the mouth.
Yeah. That's how they have to test it. Yeah,
Oh.
but that's what I mean. Well,
The
that's
thing
what I mean.
is,
Like,
I thought that when you do your swabbing for your nose, like, when you've got your cotton bud for your nose,
yeah.
the bit that confuses me now is that where in it all does they say that you should do? I'm sure I heard before that you should never use the same side of the cotton swab when you're doing your nose, when you're trying to get rid of.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I did check.
Your ears. Sorry, your ears. That's what I was meaning. Sorry, your ears.
Yeah,
when you do
I
your
think they
earwax.
used different ones, but we didn't get to do our ears. It was just nose and the mouth.
I mean in general, like, when you come out,
Yeah.
like, you just got getting your earwax out.
Oh yeah.
Kind of
But
thing,
no, that I did. That's the thing. I did double check my bag and everything. I'm like, I was like, have I got another swab and everything? And they went, no, you just have to use the same swab. So you do the mouth first and then the nose. And that's why
you do it that way around. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I said earlier. Like, there have been people
Unless
where
you
they
like-
did the
unless you-
opposite.
unless you
They
like
did the
a
opposite,
sandwich.
where they did the nose first and then the mouth. I'm like, ugh, oh no.
Yeah. unless you want a snot sandwich. Yeah.
Unless you just want to taste you on snot, then yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That-
having
that was
first-hand
actually
experience with the
everything.
COVID test, yeah, it was just
That's so cool.
well, I mean, it's not the most pleasant experience, but
No.
But it's a cool experience, a unique experience.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's an
definitely
experience that is unique, but it's only unique if you have to have it. Basically.
exactly,
So,
yeah, like
other than
so.
that, I'd much rather pass on that one.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to do it again, due to a role later on next month. So yeah.
Mm.
Yay! Looking forward to that.
The
I guess.
same one? Would that be swab test again?
Most likely. So they'll probably do the same, swab test, and then
Yeah.
then I'll have a costume fitting the next day, and then hopefully it'll test
Nice.
negative, and then I can actually get some work going on. So yeah.
So yeah,
That'd be fun.
That's exciting.
I take it that they'll be doing this testing privately, obviously, because they wouldn't put the strain on the NHS. Like, obviously, like with the same thing with, like, Strictly and On Celerity, they've done theirs privately, I believe. So
Mhm.
How long do you
Yeah.
have to
they keep
wait
going.
for the results?
It took about a couple of days, like
Like
2 or 3 days. It
Okay.
did say about 2 to 5 days.
I think
Usually.
the testing for the TV, like when you're on TV, I think they get their test back within 12 hours.
I was gonna
That's
say
so
like
quick.
I was gonna say
Basically.
like if they need so, because obviously they can't really wait for people to
Yeah.
so hopefully I'll hear back, when I'll get negative, and then I'll have my costume
Well, the
fitting,
thing
and then
is,
I'll
you'll
get
probably
told.
you'll probably have your test, and then you'll have to isolate in the hotel for a few hours while you wait, right? So
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I mean, there's no point for me go in there, get my test, come back home, and then go back, and then I might as well stay somewhere nearby. But yeah, so
I mean, this might be an iconic, quite an interesting situation, because obviously with COVID, moving back and forth is not a good idea. So once you're there, whether you're a smaller role or a bigger role, they're still going to put you in a hotel, obviously, to make sure that you don't tread too far with the test being involved.
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit frustrating, because obviously you're in tier 3, aren't you? Up in Birmingham.
That means nothing's open. Is that still lockdown then?
Well, that basically, I was saying to a few friends, I'm not sure if I said it to you, Owen, but like I basically said it's feels more like lockdown 2.1, really. Like the 0.1 being like the shops have reopened. Like we can go out shopping again. But restaurants aren't open, so you can go to the gym and all those things. But I've sacked the gym off anyway, because they're not opening certain facilities in our leisure centres. So we've asked for a full refund, and we've cancelled our direct debit. So we're just going to wait for Apple Fitness Plus to come out next month. So,
but I feel like I'm looking at BBC website right now. It says tier 3 is like shop, gym, personal care services can reopen. But all the restaurants, pubs are.
Yeah, it's only takeaways.
That's so
you two are so lucky, because like London, I think should really be tier 3. And I mean,
I thought so too. Yeah.
It was quite insulting when that news came out.
I don't understand.
In my area, a lot. They've halved the infection rate in my area. In least in I live in the Midlands. I live in the Sandwell area, so I am quite close to Birmingham, but I'm also quite close to the Dudley county borough, where it's got like not county borough, it's not a county, is it? You know what I mean? It's a council. It has like Dudley,
they're like the joint councils,
And those areas alone have had high risk recent, so they would technically have been tier 3 anyway. But they're only the only reason I think they're tier 3 now is because they're being grouped in with the rest of the region. Like there are, I think, 1 or 2 places which people don't really count as the West Midlands, but like you got the Wrekin and Telford area, which apparently are sort of interlinked with the Midlands still, which I find quite weird, because they're not even near. They're near to Wolverhampton, but they're not like within the West Midlands circumference, like the shape of the Midlands that makes the Midlands. But like, I mean, some people go as far as to say it depends on which local news station you get. So if you get BBC Midlands Today after your main news in the evening, or you have ITV Central, then you are technically in the Midlands region. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. But I mean, you're in tier 2 down south as well, aren't you, Owen?
Yeah. So
just by the whispers of your hair, right?
I know, it was just sort of like, what was it going to be? Where am I going to be in it? And I thought, like, when I saw, I thought, okay, I might be in tier 1 then. And then I double checked. I went, never mind.
Basically that's literally what they said. I think the headline they were going for quite regularly on the news in the last day was that 99% of the UK are basically going to be in some form of very high tiers.
Tougher tiers.
Either being high, very high, or extreme. Is it very high or extremely high or something? I can't think what they call them.
It's just been a complete shit show.
I think they just call tier 1 low now. I don't even think they call it medium.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I said,
how do you like your tier? Do you like your tier to be 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, medium, high, or very high.
I mean, it's bad enough that they had that scale earlier in the year where there was like, we're currently at like a 4, but we're now down to a 3. I was like, it looks literally like the Nando's
out of what? Yeah, exactly. It was like out of like what 10, 5, what?
A 10 is basically burning your stomach and your throat. At the same time.
It's like the Trump initiative, like pouring bleach down your throat, and then
literally. I think people are going crazy.
Yeah,
but I'll say we will not divulge into the dirty for longer. So we're gonna switch gears now, and we're gonna throw the spotlight back towards Lydia's way. So we're gonna give Lydia the floor to talk a little bit about a few things about her. So like, I guess we'll get started quite simple. So let's get started with just by saying, how did you how do you come about, like, you know, wanting to be in medical, or at least anything within medical? I guess, what should you say, forum?
In medicine, yeah.
Medicine related career, you mean?
Well, yeah, so okay. I'm saying, where was that? Where did you start with that, and then obviously where did that cross over with modelling? So, like, obviously when you got to that point, so where did you start?
Yeah. So at the beginning, actually, when I was choosing like university and what I want to study, I was actually torn between like pharmacy or architecture, because I kind of always have a passion for like art, but then art is very time consuming, and also in hindsight, I'm so glad I didn't take architecture, because knowing my friends like basically lock themselves in the studio 24/7 trying to finish their coursework, and it's actually longer training time than becoming a GP. So
that's surprising. You wouldn't expect that, would you?
I know, it's just mad. I think it's 7 years or something before you can actually, have a proper job.
I know, so it's like 4 or 5 years for electricians to become qualified, because my dad was telling me about, like, back in the day, like when they actually had like a specific electrical school that you go to after college.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Like it's pretty mad, isn't it?
Yeah, so I didn't know that at the time. I was just thinking like, okay, so I did all the like sciencey A levels, so that sort of lead me to pharmacy basically.
It was almost like your calling at that point.
Kind of, because I didn't want to do medicine because I'm scared of blood. I remember in school we were testing, like we have annual blood test, and I saw like blood coming out of my finger. I was like literally about to faint. I find it difficult.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm blacking out. I need to sit down.
You wouldn't seem like this. You don't seem like the sort of person that would probably be, freaked. I wouldn't say freaked out, but like conscious of seeing it.
Yeah, I was just like dizziness, like in my head. I don't even know why, but I think I'm getting a lot better now, actually.
I mean, to be fair, I feel when it comes to something like needles, like if I see like a photo of a needle, or I think about needles, I do get that. Oh, I mean, I'm getting it now. I'm feeling the chill and the weird sort of like makes your hand go pale feeling for a second, doesn't it? It's like a shiver moment.
Yeah,
just thinking about it or even talking about it.
Yeah, but I guess it does get better the more you in contact with those situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like someone who has like a spider phobia, and like you put them with spider all the time and they will get used to it. Arachnophobia. Yeah, but yeah. Anyways,
I'll say, what they just out of curiosity, do you know what they call it when you like you get faint around things like that? What is it? What would you obviously like like with spiders, it's an arachnophobia, isn't it? So like it's obviously a type of phobia, isn't it? To be like
definitely
weirded out by blood.
Yeah.
I'm just. I don't know.
Owen's checking it out on Google.
Is this syncope? I know syncope is like mean fainting, but I don't know.
Fear of blood.
Fear of blood. Yeah,
I think it's literally called blood phobia or something.
Oh, okay, it's as simple as it sounds.
Yeah, it's like
fear of blood.
Well, it says hang on. Oh no, I think it's called hemophobia.
Hemophobia. That makes more sense. I've heard that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that must be an actual name, because it can't be called blood phobia. I mean, it's simple as that, but
hemophobia.
But yeah, hemophobia. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like fear of like certain human fluids. That sounds like, doesn't it?
Well, it's like hemoglobin. So
basically, like a red fluid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, God, could you imagine like just like I was gonna say, like, could you imagine like just being so afraid of raspberry jam or strawberry jam? Redophobia alert! It's like, would you like it? And he or she can only have like black currant jam or blackberry jam or something.
Yeah. Or imagine someone said to you, would you like red or brown sauce?
Red sauce.
God.
No ketchup.
Ketchup all the way.
But brown sauce.
It's weird that actually, like, I'm completely off topic. I literally like I said this morning, like, because I went to Greg's this morning for breakfast, and I literally says, what sauce do you want? I said, can I get red sauce? He goes, yeah, what, ketchup? Yeah. I was like, yeah, ketchup. I don't say red sauce very often. I normally say ketchup because, like, when someone says ketchup, it's obviously tomato ketchup. There's no There's no mustard ketchup or anything like that. It's just ketchup, right?
Well, sometimes they say to me, most of the time they say, tomato sauce or brown sauce. So yeah, that's odd.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird, isn't it? Because like Heinz have got them like that mayo chop thing, or what they call it, like mayo ketchup, like a mix of ketchup and mayo together.
Oh, would that be nice?
Honestly, like I think it's a left-handed thing because me and my nan both like it. We're both lefties, so must be one of those things like you just literally rub it in with the chips. Oh, chips are good with them. Anyway, completely off track, of course.
Yeah.
So
about your medical path.
Okay, yeah. So that's how I decided to do pharmacy, and then 4 years in uni is kind of a lot, to be honest. But I did like a exchange program at the end of my my year to Australia, which is really fun and much needed, I think, at that point, because I was so bored of Bath, But I think it's because the boredom that made me start to do modeling as well, which is not too bad, It works out all right.
So how what brought you to because obviously you said you got bored during with your traveling. What sort of inspired you to go, oh yeah, like I could give modeling a go? Like, was there any inspiration behind it? Was it like a recommendation from someone?
Right. So to be honest, in the very beginning, I was just traveling with my friend. My friend is a photographer, and we just sort of like start to take some pictures, and actually the picture come out really cool, and I really like them. And then I started to like post them on Instagram, and then I think as my Instagram grow like more and more followings, and their agencies start to contact me, so that's how I ended up signing contract with agencies and start like earning money through this way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's all started from hobby, to be honest.
From a very humble beginning.
Yeah, but I think I'm still doing things like that. Like I don't do like paid shoot all the time. I think there need to be like a mixture, like because there's only the creative shoots that you can use your creativity, that you can collaborate with people that you like to work with, whereas for paid shoot it's more restrict and everything is very defined already, and you sort of just like fit yourself into the box.
It's already pre-planned, and you're more you're more in the service of the shoot rather than like they're doing it for you.
Exactly. And
I get what you mean when you say that. Like for me, like if I'm doing a paid job, like I feel like there's definitely more pressure there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fine. Like it is good money, But at the end of the day, you want to enjoy what you do as well. And
there needs to be some sort of variety in your work. So, and also like having a bit of freedom to be as creative as you can. Like it shows a bit of versatility.
Exactly.
Because you definitely want to show that, because you like, as much as like I have that problem when I do a bit of modeling, like I often get shoots me in a suit, and as much as I do enjoy wearing suits or seeing photos of me in a suit, you probably get the same thing where you kind of keep seeing like the same pattern and you just go, I want to do more than just what everyone wants me to do.
You're in like a straight jacket, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it does feel quite restrictive, and it just makes me. And I do when I say to them like I want to do something more casual, they kind of go, "Oh, okay," and they'll so yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna be taking a bit of a break. So
we're gonna recharge. And we'll be back to talking more about Lydia's modelling journey. We'll be back very shortly. In a
see
few
you guys
minutes.
later.
Hello and welcome back to this new episode of What Topics. So we briefly talked about Lydia going into her journey into medicine, and then we just touched on her start of her modelling career. So
exactly, yes.
Yeah. So so it started in Australia. By the way, whereabouts in Australia did you go to?
Oh, quite a lot of places actually. So originally I was in a hospital in Canberra.
Oh, okay.
I was so shocked. I googled Canberra is actually the capital of
It's the
Australia.
capital of Australia. Yeah.
Like I thought, oh my god, I always thought it's Sydney, and then
Everyone does. And the thing is, it's funny because every time I talk to any Australian locals, they go like, I say to them, "Oh, is there anything to do in Canberra?" They go, "No, just go there and then just leave. That's it. Just say you've been
funny,
there."
Actually, another a little fact for you that not many people know this, but Switzerland doesn't actually have a capital city. Did you know that?
Switzerland doesn't have a capital city?
Nope, doesn't have one.
Seriously?
Yeah, I found that the other day. Look up the history behind it. It's really important. It's really important, and it's actually quite interesting.
I'm actually going to look that up.
I mean, if you've been to Switzerland, you might know where typically you'd think would be the capital, but it's not. You what? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. It says there's no capital. Oh, okay.
Yeah, people assume, but never look. I guess.
Damn.
Maybe most Swiss people probably know that, but I mean, Switzerland's quite a small country, to be fair. So. Not on the smallest scale, but.
Well, apparently Bern is the de facto capital of Switzerland, but
that's
many people are surprised that when they hear that pretty little Bern is Swiss capital.
Definitely. So you back to Australia then.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So.
That's all right.
And then I realized it's because like there's always a long-term competition between Melbourne and Sydney to become the capital. So they basically set up this Sim City, Canberra, a city just for being the capital city. And so I was there, and it was really dead. It's like a desert basically. And I was just there doing my work experience. And after it finishes, I went to Cairns and then the Great Barrier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Gold Coast. So I went north and then traveled all the way south, and went to Sydney, went to Melbourne as well. I think that's pretty much it. I didn't go to Perth, didn't go to the west side.
Oh, I didn't go that side. I didn't even go to Sydney when I went. I went to Melbourne, then I went to Adelaide, and then I checked up the Ayers Rock.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but we got to camp out out the middle of the desert a couple of times and got to see the Milky Way on the sky. It was amazing. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did more like a beach and sea sort of a holiday and scuba diving, deep diving. Yeah, so wish I could go back there actually.
Oh, that's on my bucket list to swim in the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd love to go. It's so expensive though to get that far across the planet,
and it's so long as well. It takes at least up to 20 to 30 hours to get there.
Yeah,
roughly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done close to 12 hours, so I can know how that feels. You feel like you've watched 3 or 4 films, and you're like, I've still got 2-3 hours left. Are you kidding?
It's really long. I think I stopped in Korea when on the way back, and then a bit of time in Korea as well, and then came back. I think because 24-hour flight is just a bit too long. So if you break 12 hour, and then have a break in between, it's just so much more tolerable.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped over in Singapore, when I was traveling to New Zealand. And I can actually see why a lot of people consider Singapore airport to be one of the best, if not the best airport to go to.
I've seen videos and honestly, I'm so jealous. I really want to go at some point. Mom and Dad got to go.
It's so good. Honestly, I was even surprised what was there to offer.
You can literally get there, a little monorail train right through the middle of a massive water fountain space, right? It's brilliant.
Well, the fact that apparently a lot of Asian students from Korea and all over the place just come to Singapore just to study or just chill out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the crazy bits about that side of the planet is there's so much variety. There's so much food. I mean, we already have one of the best things from that direction in the world, I think from Thailand. Obviously, we've got Jollibee now in the UK. We've got Jollibee down in London. We've got it in Liverpool, and they've just opened up in your backyard of where you're from, Lydia, back in Leicester direction.
Really?
Yeah, Jollibee just opened last week during lockdown, so obviously it's only open for takeaway at the minute, but they'll be open next week, I think, for the first time officially, letting people through the doors to sit down.
I actually can't wait for the restaurant to open,
Honestly, I think the next time that we all catch up, we should definitely go for Jollibee. Jollibee's amazing.
We have so many places to go.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to tick them all off.
Even in London, I'm still finding new places to go to. Like it's crazy.
There's a lot of places that I've never been to. Like I think there's one place in London called Bone Daddy's that I really want to go to.
There's a few that I've probably heard of, but it's just like it'd just be really weird if I just went on my own. It'd be like, oh well, this is fun. Okay.
Well, the thing is, I tried something. There's a place called Burger and Beyond down in Shoreditch, and they do a bone marrow gravy and gravy cheese on chips. It's really good. Honestly, I've never had anything better gravy wise. And I'm like we all like look at the standard of gravy outside of like your roast dinners. That is probably something like KFC's gravy. Like that's like top tier gravy. It's beautiful. But then you have something like that where literally it's like down to like the most tastiest ingredients, and you think that bone marrow sounds disgusting, but you don't know it until you try it.
No, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely something that I'll be going back for again. I mean, the burger was brilliant, but the chips were like such a standout. Like you don't expect side dishes to be such a standout compared to the main.
Better than Mackie D's chips.
I mean, it depends on what type of chips you're talking about, really. Because I guess like you got your KFC, your McDonald's chips, and like with KFC's ones, like they're more like Five Guys fries.
And then you got Burger King chips, which are like almost chunky chips. So.
Don't get me started on Burger King. They're terrible. They're terrible. Those chips are. I cannot take their chips.
And they're like hit and miss.
And then you got Nando's, which I'm heavily sure that they are McCain chips because they just taste pretty standard, but they're nice still with a bit of peri salt on them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Nando's any day of the week for me. I'm happy with Nando's. I love Nando's.
I haven't had a chicken Nando's for quite a while actually. Hey. I think it's just been over. I think it's just been over like over a year. Like it was just after we filmed my bit on the first team. Yeah.
That's so long. You need to get yourself there.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, like every time I think about it, or I'm like, hey, let's meet up, and then some people is like, oh, I don't want to go out, and it's like, okay, all right.
Well, to be fair, we probably might end up having another catch up in a few more weeks because obviously we'll be out of lockdown. Like I can still travel out of my area even if I'm tier 3. It's just frowned upon according to the government. It's an advisory thing. But the thing is, I'll make it quite clear that I think it's a matter of being safe rather than a matter of like you're going to give it to someone because people are traveling around in different frequencies at the minute. So like if you're traveling around in smaller numbers, you're less likely to get it anyway. So I think I'm a lone traveller for quite a lot of my travels. Like I go out with friends and everything, and I'll go abroad for holidays, but I travel the country quite regularly on my own. So,
well, that's the thing. I travel because I have to get to like film and TV sets, like regardless of how I travel there. So, yeah.
And I'm sure probably the same for you, Lizzie, when you go further a distance for modelling.
Oh no, go.
I mean, what would you? I remember you telling me before your routine if you wanted to go to London, right? You'd literally like have to drive like 45 minutes away and pay like an arm and a leg to park your car before you got the train, right?
Is that me or is there someone else? I didn't know.
No, because I think from where you live, you said the best place for you to go and get the train from was East Midlands Parkway, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I live in the middle of nowhere. That was back in the days. That's why I moved here as well, just to be more like convenient.
Yeah, the convenience and flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah, because live in a little village, middle of nowhere, have to drive to like train station, get the train, and get the. Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm pretty lucky. I'm literally just within 5-minute walking distance to my train station, and then I could just get either a direct train to Victoria or Waterloo. So pretty lucky with that.
Lucky boy.
I mean, ideally, I would much rather be closer to where the work is. So it's kind of like thinking, should I move to London? But I keep hearing people that, all my friends down in Portsmouth that they moved to London and they moved back. So it's just kind of
like it's one of those things like it's like fight or flight really with London. Like it's not for everyone. London isn't.
Yeah. No. It's expensive. Like the food is expensive.
I mean, you haven't exactly got the biggest place in the world, have you, Lydia? And I'm sure that's not cheap.
But at least I have it's like a single bed studio. So I got
like a condo, that really, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, I got all I need basically. And
you literally got one from one side of the room to the other side of the room, and it's all in one room near enough, isn't it?
His bedroom is separate, and bathroom is separate as well. But like the kitchen and the living room sort of like together, just in one room. But
I mean, I genuinely find it quite weird. Like I've seen some places on Rightmove and Zoopla where they're literally it's one room, like it looks like a living room space, but you've got your toilet, your shower, and you've got like a fold out table and a fold out chair. It's like, what?
It's weird, crazy. Right? Oh, I've seen so many weird rooms that I was looking at in Australia when I had to kind of move out my place, and there was even one place where they had a room, but they had literally a toilet in the bedroom area. I was like, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I even said to them, like, are you gonna build like a wall or something to separate the toilet and they went, nah, like that's your own private toilet. And I'm like, right. So when I bring guests over, I just I have to point out that toilet, and they go like, well, you can use the downstairs toilet. I'm like, but I'm guessing you would much prefer like using my own toilet. They was like, yeah. I'm like, nah, no.
The fact that they suggested it was just like such like a backhand, isn't it?
It's like no chance. Like I'm like, are you seriously trying to sell like this room right now? Like, only in Australia. Damn.
So yeah, I mean, obviously going back to obviously as you were saying, obviously like you started doing bits in Australia, like while on the side while like you were doing your medical over there, medical part-time work.
Yeah.
I'd say where initially did you do most of your learning in the UK? Like what was your your home life when you was younger? Was you always from the UK, or did you come to the UK? I don't know. I never asked the question, to be fair.
Yeah, I was actually born here, and then I had to go back for my primary education. So I fluent in Mandarin Chinese as well. And then something happened with my family, so I moved here again in Leicester. That's and then went to school, secondary school there, and then after that, university, and here I am now.
Oh wow! So it was like your very earlier years that you went back to. I guess where would it be in China? Would it be more closer to the bigger cities?
Yeah, Beijing.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know a few people who I've met over the years that have had to go back home for little bits of their life when they were younger. They don't remember a lot of it. Most of their life was still back here in the UK, or they moved to Australia. I mean, that's one of the typical things about the UK. There's a lot of people who like to, as they say, go to the side of the world where the sun is. There's that TV show on the telly, the way it's was it Transfer to the Sun or something like that, where they work out to Australia or something, right?
Yeah. English people. When I was in Australia, everyone's moved from UK. There's one girl, my colleagues from Liverpool, and yeah.
Oh wow, mad. It's weird, isn't it? The two countries are very much interlinked with moving around, changing places where you live. I mean, it's obviously the Commonwealth still stands to some degree between the two countries, but obviously it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
Pretty mad.
I mean, they still treat each other as a much a separate entity than one sort of unified division or whatever. With that being said, so how do you balance, with obviously working your I suppose your other day job and then with your modeling work? Is it quite difficult, or have you now found a routine that to kind of balance it out? Or
I mean, where was that beginning? Where you first discovered that you're okay, I'm now at a crossroads where I continue with my medical, like obviously going on to do medicine or going on to work in like, you know, Boots, etc. Like, where did it like hit you? Like, I guess where the saying goes, where it hit home that like you knew you was going to be juggling the two and you had to try and make it work?
I think is when I was in university and when I signed the contract with my agent, and when the first big job actually came along, which is for like a commercial advert for Max Factor.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then it's a lot of money and it's like exciting. It's like makeup brand that I like. And they called me actually.
Oh wow.
For a casting. They said, Lydia, we need you tomorrow to come to London for the casting. And I was in uni. I was like, actually, I have a test tomorrow. I can't go. And then they were like, are you crazy? Like, you know, it's really well paid. And I just hate that I had to lie a lot, like when I was in university, and just say,
oh yeah,
go up
I can imagine.
And I had to go, you know, to London by myself. But luckily I got the job, and my parents, it sort of proved to my parents as well that I can get money from what I like doing.
Would you say it was a bit difficult to get approval from them at the first point, like how some other creators in the community, like YouTubers, like had to prove to their parents that like it was feasible for them to move away from certain what would you say, like certain norms in people's mindsets?
I think it's because, like, coming from my background, which is like Asian parents, you know, they sort of think being a lawyer, being like a doctor.
Oh God, yeah.
They're like set paths in people's lives, like how like in some other Asian families, like
it's almost like the thing is
marriages and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like a stereotype. And the only reason I know is because the vast majority of the people when I was living in Vancouver is Asian. Like you got Filipino, you got Chinese, like Korean, everything. And it is typical where they normally want you to become like, you know, either a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or anything that's a high and paid job. And then if you tell them that you want to do anything creative, it just seems like it's a hobby to them. And
yeah.
Was that true from your perspective, or from your side of things?
I think is pretty much still applies, which is really annoying, but it's true.
It's a very heavy stereotype that's sticking about still.
Yeah, but I sort of see where they're coming from as well. Like they want you to be financially independent, and you know the way to do that, like it seems to them that you need a proper job, you know. But like right now, obviously the creative industry has developed and changed so much, and people actually a lot of money from it, and that's what they, you know, don't know about. But once I got the job and I got paid and they were happy with it, and they sort of think, okay, like I'll let you just do whatever as long as you have with university, then you know you're free to do whatever on the side that you like. So I think at that point I thought like, okay, so I kind of want to incorporate that part of my life into like the main part, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You wanted to be a good pairing, a good marrying, right?
Yeah, because basically.
So where so obviously like, with the Max Factor job, obviously like it obviously like it opened your eyes up to like the next places that you could go with, obviously with your agency. I mean, for those who don't know, like your main agency that you're with, I mean, I know you're with two agencies. Your main one's with BAME, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And who's your other agency?
So I'm actually with quite a lot, but like the main one that get me quite a lot of jobs are BAME, RMG, and Model Union.
Okay. So that's one thing that a lot of models probably don't realize is that like you don't have to just go for one agency. And obviously the extension off of that, which I'm sure you'd say is about right, is that obviously there's like almost you could say like sort of lines between areas that like certain agencies don't want you to cross over. So like you could be with BAME, but then there's obviously an agency up in the Midlands, for example, like Valkyrie, that you could sign to, and it wouldn't the two wouldn't cross over because they go for different.
That they don't say you're exclusively signed to us, then you know that means always branch out. And also, even I know a lot of model like Amy, you know, she'd get a lot of job on Facebook, like a platform like this. So you don't necessarily need to sign with an agency to do the job that you like, to be honest.
Exactly, yeah. I think there's a lot of good examples for people who are freelance. Like one that I quite reference regularly, like even on my my other podcast, the photography podcast I do, the Get the Shot podcast. We spoke about a model named Tyler Payton, who she was with BAME at one point, and she's been with other models as an agency, but now she's completely freelance. She does photography on the side as well, and she gets her own jobs. Like I've paid for work with her before. And like, you know, she's it's her living, it's her job essentially. Like, we would have had an episode with her, you know, COVID pending and everything, like where she come and join us on the podcast and talk with us. But like, we haven't had that full conversation. But like, I know for certain that like she's, you know, obviously spoke about the fact that, like you've just said, it's not always the path you need. Like everything that models think about modeling is that you have to follow this straight path, essentially, like you were saying, like how Asian families say you have to follow this righteous path. Like you don't have to go and get an agency, you can go freelance. It helps, and it's not required.
Like if you're a creative person, like one day there is room for you, and there's opportunity for you to shine, you know, as long as you carry on just doing the things that inspire you. And you know, some of the models, people think model probably just, you know, stand in front of a camera and just pose, and they just listen to instructions. But actually, you know, model can have their concept as well, and they can have an idea that they want to bring to life, and they can find their photographer and communicate that concept, and, you know, create something amazing basically. So I feel like model can have a say in like creative industry, like in terms of creating, I don't know, just
bringing as you got more experience over time, did you find a footing on, like, there was a particular style that spoke to you, that basically that spoke to you, like that was more identifiable to yourself rather than just copying something just because it's trending? Did you find a really difficult thing to make sure that this was still you rather than just being a carbon copy of something else has done?
I just feel like sometimes, so at the beginning, obviously, I take on many different type of shoots and just exploring myself sort of in different styles, and then as I, you know, carry on doing this job more, I feel like sometimes I see my inspirations and I will, you know, just collect pictures and do a mood board myself. And then I have friends like, you know, you and Josh and other photographers that, you know, perhaps interested in collaborating with me, then I will communicate that to them. And sometimes they like the idea and sometimes they can give a bit more input. And then we ended up just set up a date and, you know, go on the shoot and bring the concept into real life, which is really cool, I think. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's quite
honestly, it's one of the things that I have to say that's you always remember about the industry that we're all like doing things in, is that like there's such a range of people, there's such a range of like things that you can do from genre wise. Like people think that you get to portrait photography and it just stops at portrait photography. It really doesn't. Like this portrait photography, or to give it its full name, portraiture photography, is literally just the sub heading. Like you've got so many more branches off of that photography.
Exactly.
Like you've literally got like your headshot portraits, you've got your full body.
You do, and you can do like editorial. Like there's so many you can do with it.
It's honestly like I think the word that I use quite regularly is such a vibe. not to like make people think, oh, is that all he thinks about? But like literally, like honestly, like the thing that I echo the most about photography, portrait photography and working with models, is that like there's such a sense of joy, excitement, meeting new people.
Exactly. And it's like or even like a team like bounce off ideas. It's not just, you know, you like a piece of object, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting enough. I actually met you two briefly last year in September during that portrait mission group
Yeah, the portrait
event.
mission events, yeah, at
Yeah,
Southend-on-Sea.
Oh my
yeah,
god, coat that day.
That day
it was very windy,
quite mad.
Yeah. And we
and it
had
was
like swim costume and things.
You know something, Lydia, and this is me being honest here. Honestly, you were proper fire that day wearing that. Like, I was not expecting that.
Oh, thanks, boy.
well, I wasn't expecting to just dive into the well. It was actually Kyle who jumped in, and then
you two were egging each other on, for what I could see. From
and then it was like Kyle was saying like, "Come on, it's actually not that bad," and then I'm that person who's just that was sort of like. I kind of like, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm one of those people like, well, if he's jumped in, I'm gonna jump in. And then John was like, oh, you two bitches are crazy. And then I was like, yeah. So it was cold, very, very cold.
Amazing.
But yeah,
definitely, yeah.
Had so much fun, and then we went to the, you know, the what is it, the fair afterwards.
Yeah.
I didn't. I went straight back home. If I could, I would have just stayed back and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna stay a little bit longer. Yeah.
And we had
honestly, mad that was.
Yeah, it was just. I think it was just because I think it was just a little bit like, I think at the time, because I just quit my day job and I was just a little bit uncertain about certain things. So it was just like, you know, I'll just go to this event and I'll just go back home. And yeah. But I had a great time. Like, I admittedly, like, just because it just what happened on that couple of days ago, and then it just went there. I was like, okay, this is a bit of a thing I needed, but it was just a little bit daunting because there was a bunch of people that I just did not know.
But it was fun. Like, everyone's so friendly. That's what I like.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Like,
honestly, that's one of the things that I always try and put across with the portrait mission events in general. That like we always have a good time. Like, obviously, the one thing that I would take away from that event was that obviously there was a lot going for that event. Like, we had like, you know, hair modeling going on in that, obviously, like, and makeup stuff. And like, obviously, you guys like were having all that professionally done as part of, you know, a chance to win in a competition. And like, we had the whole hotel conference room. Like, that's like top tier scale that I never had before. And like, it was definitely one of the more eventful events that we've run. I mean, for those who don't know, we did kind of have a team member join us for a few months before that, and he was putting on most of that event, and he left, unfortunately. Like, that was quite a tough time. Like, obviously, I don't want to like divulge about it on here because it's not something that's really for the ears of this podcast. Like, you guys know about it off podcast, obviously, but
yeah,
like in general, they're like, it was an experience running something like that, but I definitely want to do it a lot more. Like, I want to be a bit more strict with the details about how that was run, because there was a lot that went wrong on that day. But some people don't even see that, like, in events. Like, you guys obviously were coming from London, like, so you felt the flow that was going on. Like, it was a little bit hectic, I imagine, at first for you guys.
Yeah, I must admit that I've been to group events, or at least I've been in charge of you know, multiple people when it comes to like making short films or even photo shoots or anything like that. Even I felt it was a little bit overwhelming with like the amount of photographers and models and trying to organize that.
It does, yeah.
You know, we had to get like into a timed schedule to get everyone's hair and makeup done and picking outfits and, you know, changing to those outfits and then get into it was just one thing after another. And it wasn't a complete disaster, I think, but there were some aspects that could have been improved upon.
Yeah, especially like that was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, how would you say the event went for you?
For me, or
yeah, I say in your eyes, how was the experience?
I think at the beginning, obviously with the hair, makeup, and stuff, it's just very, very long and very uncertain. We don't know going, like, when we're going. But as soon as we arrive at the location, I think it just all go up from there.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Like, it did seem like there was a lot of waiting around jumped me unnecessarily at the hair and makeup and everything. But I understand that, you know, models were just arriving and then they was getting their turn and everything. But there were times where it was sort of like, well, and what made it a little bit bizarre was the fact that, you know, there was they still had the hair and makeup team coming along with us to the hotel. So it just made me think, like, well, if we could have got those people to come along with us, we could have just cut time to just gone to the location, done all that, so we didn't have to worry about
exactly
traveling, all that. So yeah, it was just
model ready and start shooting, and then, you know, get the 3 other model ready. So like, there's no waiting around.
Right. Yeah.
Things like that. Anyways, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was where we meet you, so, you know, can't be.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Besides that, I met a lot of great people on that shoot, like you two, and yeah. So hopefully, well, we were going to have one back in March, weren't we? And obviously, because of the pandemic happened, so I'm actually looking forward to a next group event, because those were like things that I actually look forward to. And it was just where that you can actually network with other photographers that you can get to meet last time, or at least when you did get their details or their Instagram handles or anything like that, then you could then wait for the next event, and then you could go, oh hey, like we technically met last time, but we didn't really properly introduce ourselves, so we could go from there. So yeah, I think as a model, from my perspective, it was just, there were certain aspects that even I could admit that there were some things that could have been, you know, improved upon, but at the same time, I couldn't really argue against it, because like I said, I got to meet amazing people, and I actually got some good photos from that shoot anyway. So pretty much it was just a win-win scenario in my eyes. So
Got to see the good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you know, is there any, so with obviously your modeling journey is probably still ongoing, I presume. Like actually, that's actually a more interesting question. Has there ever been a moment where you've almost thought about being put off by the whole thing? Where was there ever a moment where you thought, this isn't working out, or you think there was certain events,
well, that's it,
or some,
because you if like your job got like too stressful at one point, because obviously you've said before, like you've really like had to juggle things in the past, like you had to be careful not to be in trouble for this or that, like maybe like you felt like, was it really worth it one time, like maybe trying to skive off work, like you know like those things, like for in anyone's mind, like you don't want to do, like you very suspicious of, like I know you said to me before, like you try and follow the rule, the rule of like being careful and being on the, what's the word, the right side of it all, like, and you didn't want it like to cause like a problem for your career, because that's the one thing that you never want to do, right?
Yeah, no, obviously, because I still want to like keep my professional career whilst like doing, that's why I'm doing it part-time, so I get more time to do a bit of both, I think. And I think it's working pretty well.
Oh, brilliant. Definitely. We won't bore you too much about your work, because obviously it's everyone's thing that they get out of, and they're like, oh, you want to talk about work again? Really?
Separate the artist to the you know, their day lives or whatever. So
go on, we'll spice it up a little bit. So here's a good one for you. Your most embarrassing moment that you want to talk about that you've had with modeling. Go on. Tell us.
Moment.
Yeah, so like anything that's like, obviously,
or have you had anything that you weren't particularly proud of? Like, you don't have to go into too much detail, and it doesn't have to be.
You can redact names.
It'd be like beep.
I mean, I think embarrassing moment. Can you give me one, Owen?
Oh God, ooh. I mean, I got one like already. So this was back in, I think this was just before, like when I just started. So this was like early 2017, or must be middle of 2017. So I got invited by a photographer to do a wedding shoot. So I was told that I'm going to be doing with another model. with a makeup artist. If we're going to go to like this location, there's like a vineyard, and I'm like, oh, cool, sweet. So they said, meet at the location, and I'll pick you up, and then we'll pick up the other people, and that's it. And I'm like, cool. So I get there, and I'm waiting, and I was told I'll be waiting with the other model at the location. I was like, okay, cool. And I was waiting there, and I was just still on my own. I'm like, okay, maybe she's just, just coming over. The photographer comes up with the car, and I get in the car, and he drives off. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I didn't think about asking the model. I thought, oh, she's probably gonna meet us at the shoot location. So we pick up the makeup artist, and then he says, oh, she's gonna take over as the bride, as it were. I was like, oh, okay. And then we get there, and I told him all my measurements, like on my 34-inch chest, on this and that, and he said to me, well, the person who's in charge of the wedding rentals or whatever, they said that from the photos that you look like a 36 chest. I went, right. So this is my learning curve. Like when somebody tells you that, they say you actually look like this, you be assertive to say, no, I'm this size, otherwise it's going to look baggy and look like absolute dog shit. So and it wasn't bad, but it was clearly quite baggy. Like it was just it didn't particularly work for me. So we do the shoot, and it was quite a partially sunny day. And the problem with the problem with it is because because I wasn't with the other model I thought I was going to be with, one of my friends who saw the photos, like she's one of the few, very, very few people that have seen them, because I was so embarrassed by them. She described the photos as looked like I was giving way to my mum, like she was getting married, like giving way to the wedding or whatever. And the other problem was she could, like, when it became to looking in the direction of the sun, like not at the sun, but where the sun was, directing at her direction, she would be squinting. So a lot of the photos, when it came for anywhere that the sun was shining on her, you could see like her eyes were like just squinting. Fucking hell. So I'm like, I'm waiting for the photos to be, edited and everything, and I get the photos, and again, it just looked so amateurish. And I even sent a long ass email basically saying, like, and then I found out the model who was supposed to be the bride didn't get told anything. The last thing they told was it was going to be like she was going to do the shoot, and that was it. Like she didn't get told anything else. I went, wow, really? So then I said to the photographer, I'm like, I found out who the model was to be my bride, or quote unquote, and you apparently didn't tell anything about where to meet, when to meet, and anything of the details. And you didn't care to share this information until the day that we went off to shoot. And not only that, like the photos look so embarrassing. Like I didn't hold back. I was quite pissed off, quite frankly.
Oh no.
And so I was like, and I said to him, you know what, I am not going to use those photos in my portfolio, and if you do use those photos, I do not want you to tag me in them whatsoever. Like I made sure, like I made it clear that I'm distancing myself from that. And even though I was just starting, I immediately thought to myself, I need to set a standard, and I cannot let this get out.
I guess it was a good experience in the end, though, weren't it? Because like as much as it's like hard to think that like something bad happened like that, it's the case that like you built up that I guess you kind of built up your sort of like not defense, but like your sort of reputation in your mindset of what you expect, what you need. So like, for example, that like you were saying, like about like expectation of what you look like rather than actually asking your measurements. You didn't obviously think to ask them to tell them, you know, oh, do you need my measurements, rather than just like guessing, because guesswork gets you nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's really tough because you obviously don't know. Like, there's some photographers that you think to yourself that you're not sure, but you think to yourself, you know what, I'll give it a shot, because you never know, it might actually be just a photographer who just started out and is wanting to learn, and actually might get better and better at, you know, with each, you know, photography set. And it just, that wasn't the case. It just felt like, yeah. So that's what I learned as a model. It's just, go with your gut instinct, and also, even then, like, just let the photographer know that if you're not happy, just tell them, like, because there's no sense of, being polite over something, because it's your reputation on the line at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, we're probably letting Lydia get off quite easily here, because we've been obviously talking quite a long time in this podcast, and we're all it's starting to get a bit late at night. So like we're going to start to wrap up shortly. But like the one thing that I'm sure that Lydia can probably agree with, like on what I was obviously saying, is like, building up your expectations for shoots, like, what things should be ticked off before you start the shoot, or even get to the point of, heading to the shoot. You obviously, as you said, like the shortcomings of like the suit and stuff like that kind of thing, right? I'm sure you'd agree, like sort of similar experiences for you, Lydia.
Yeah, so you need to know like what time. Obviously, the essential, you need to know the time, the location, who you work with, and like, but even like for the commercial job, sometimes my agency doesn't give me like the full information. I don't really know why, but which can be quite annoying. Sometimes you turn up to casting and unprepared, and sort of like cause a bit of panic. But
it feels a bit deceiving.
Yeah, just always try to make sure that you know as much information as possible about the shoot before you actually go, and that's make sure that your expectation meet like what's about to happen, basically.
Yeah, I'd say, because obviously one of the other things that obviously we've probably not really touched on as much, but like obviously it's something that's to be aware of, is of course modeling is still one of those parts of the industry that people take advantage of course. So like obviously, as yourself, obviously as a woman, obviously yourself, Lydia, and obviously even you yourself, obviously Owen as well, like it's not just a one-sided gender thing. It is both sides of the gender that both have the same problem. Like there's people in the industry that abuse their right of like, working like with people like photographers, but basically like just being bad as they are. But obviously, like I'm sure you'd say, obviously just be aware of the details of like what people are asking you to do as a model, right?
Yeah, it's all about, safety at the end of the day. Like, it's just, you just making sure, like, if you have usually it's like the old saying, if your gut instinct is telling you that it's too good to be true, or if you're not unsure, if you're really unsure about something, that it's likely to be that is that case, that what you're thinking about.
I think it's also important just to check out the photographer's work, like make sure that, his style, her style is actually like the style that you like, and have a chat with them before you go to any shoot, and just make sure that they're like, I don't know, you connect with the photographer, what you expect, instead of someone just use like a fake profile to.
That's it, yeah, because you don't. The last thing you want is essentially, like, a lot of models are going to get asked the very question: do you do lingerie? Do you do nude? And you're just like, yeah. That's not something you ask unless you don't ask those things unless they are something that you see on the person's profile. Like you do what you do, and that's what you put across, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I
so
can't.
Like, if you didn't, let's just put it this way: if you wasn't in a bikini or anything like that on your profile, if someone was to come and ask you to do a lingerie shoot, you'd be thinking, are they stupid? Are they out of their mind? You know what I mean? Like, it's that expectation. Like, you need to, I guess, calibrate your mindset to that. So, like, if you're getting messages from a photographer or an agency or anything like that, that's like asking you to do those kind of things, just obviously think about it.
Yeah. And I don't know whether you guys saw like a couple months ago, there's a guy emailed me saying like, "Oh, I can fly you to Mexico and pay you."
Oh
like,
yeah, thinking about it, weren't you?
upfront. Like stupid messages like that. It's like as if someone's gonna believe in it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like you can go. You get these girls who end up believing this, and they go there and they basically like get trapped there, don't they? Which is really horrific and scary. Obviously, not to like go into just a dark place at the end of the episode, but like it's obviously something that it needs saying and reminding.
It's definitely something to think about, and it's like if you're really unsure, and if you got friends who are into modeling or photography, that always ask, because there's no harm in asking if you even if you think it's a stupid question, there's no such as asking a stupid question to be safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I guess it's like a code, isn't it? Like you follow, like I'd say, like for me as a photographer, like if a model asked me that question, I'd say the 3 things I'd say is: 1, have you checked them out enough? 2, do you know any models who've worked with them? If they've posted models' work, go and talk to those models, get clued up. And 3, if you know any agencies or any other photographer has worked with them on a collaborative basis or met them in person, basically just check the fuck out of them. Like in a way, like you're treating them like doing a CRB check on them, right?
Yeah, basically.
It's basically that version for models.
Yeah, basically.
Well, not for models, but for photographers, obviously.
So yeah, just use your common sense and instincts, and just be safe. But also the main part is just have fun. Yeah, just
exactly. I mean, if there's one way to sum it up, Lydia, what would you say for modelling in one word? Like, what word comes to mind when you think of like your experience with modelling in one word?
Fun, I think.
You know what? I was not expecting it to be that quick, but you know what? Fun, definitely. I would definitely say fun describes it for quite a lot of people. Definitely.
Yeah. Rewarding, it could be. Yeah.
Rewarding. I mean, if I was to say one for my side of things with photography, I'd say it is probably like, just an experience. Like obviously that's 2 words. So like I'd say experience, because it's like there's so much that comes from it. Like if there's one thing that I can't do as someone like who doesn't do portraits, for example, like like landscape and stuff, you can't get the landscape to move for you. You have to move for it. So with modelling, we're working with models, for example, you get to be a bit more expressive with the stuff that you are creating. So that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, definitely. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for joining us for this episode. And say we're all very tired people. It's the end of the work week, so we're all going to retire to our beds. Of course, you'll be hearing this on Sunday, so you'll be hearing it on the 29th of November. So thank you, for joining us. But I'll say thank you, Lydia, for joining us at short notice. I know we only asked you, I think, did we ask you yesterday? Remember rightly?
It was either yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
So you messaged like, oh no. Fun.
Oh, bless you. We really appreciate your time, Lydia. And say, of course, make sure to go and check you out on everyone to go and check you out on Instagram. What was your Instagram handle going for everyone who was listening?
Okay, it's Liz LYDS. I think it says. Wait, let me double check.
I think it is, yeah.
double check your own Instagram handle.
YDS.su, so Liz.su.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'll say, as we say again, we really appreciate your time being here. I'll say we hope you had a good time today with us.
Thank you guys for inviting me. And
you're very welcome. You're more than welcome to come and join us again for another for even general topics, obviously, because it is called What Topic after all.
Much longer if I don't have work tomorrow.
Oh, we're always up for a long conversation, aren't we, all together normally, even off podcasts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so of course, obviously you've been Lydia, I've been Josh at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
And of course, we'll join you sometime either next week or the week after. Just check us out on Instagram, obviously at What Topic Podcast, to learn that one out. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.